Hello, this is Roberto Olivo. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in private practice, and I would like to talk to you about some of the issues that I see quite often when I work with my patients in couples, in family systems, and also individually. Some of the confusion that exists when I work with couples is the understanding between the relationship, the unit created by the couple, and the individual or the individuality of each member of the couple. Let me explain a little bit better. When you enter a relationship, you're moving from a position of being single, being individual, into a position of being shared in a couple. The coupleness is what becomes the unit. The both of you together become an entity. And understanding how I relate to that entity or how I behave when I'm within that entity is very important. The same way, to be able to understand how I behave in the individual fashion when I'm outside of the relationship and when I'm in the relationship. Meaning, when I'm at work on my own, I behave as an individual. I behave with my own identity of self. When I'm in the relationship, when I go to a family gathering, when I go to a social gathering, when we are together, I behave in a form of we are together and together we create this identity. So, quite often, the individual is confused about how you work both elements, the individual or the individuality and the togetherness, the coupleness. Sometimes we decide together, sometimes I decide on my own. Sometimes I select a preference as an individual, and sometimes we select a preference as a couple. Being able to navigate through those factors sometimes could be confusing and sometimes could create friction in the relationship. And quite often, it brings the individual to a point of anger, frustration, being confused about why this is not working for me. How come I have these problems with my partner, and how do I fail to understand and resolve those problems? I try my best, and sometimes my best is not enough. That happens when there is no clear understanding of the I and the us, how the we together are an entity, and how I by myself am also an entity, and how those two personalities play in the relationship, and how I navigate through those, and how I also understand my partner navigating through those, how my partner has the same right to play the individual card when my partner feels that it's important that the individual aspect of the partner is able to be present and is able to be assertive in the relationship. Also, I see quite often that people have or people develop this perception of ownership. And you are my partner, therefore, we're supposed to work together, but the fantasy is you're supposed to do what I think is best for us, or you're supposed to do what I think is best for you, or you're supposed to do what I think is best. Having that confusion, but at the same time, try to assert that position of do as I think is best is confusing because it creates often resentment. When someone, which is your partner, is trying to tell you what to do, is trying to tell you what to say, is trying to tell you how you feel, is trying to tell you how you think, you start developing some frustration, you start developing some resentment, and that resentment continues to accumulate during the duration of the relationship. And that resentment is going to be act out quite often when you have some conflicts and you start saying things that are painful, things that are hurtful, and you don't know what that's coming from. Well, it's coming from resentment that has been accumulating through weeks, months, and years. We need to be able to understand that resentment could be active and could be passive. Resentment could be very obvious, easy to see, or could be hidden, very difficult to see. I'm sure many of you have heard the term passive aggressive, meaning I'm going to pretend that I'm doing well when in reality I'm trying to manipulate or I try to make you pay for something that I believe you did wrong. Having a relationship requires commitment. Having a relationship requires awareness of my time, awareness of my investment, awareness of what I'm willing to do, awareness of what I'm expecting out of the relationship. Quite often, we pretend that we do not expect many things when in reality we do expect a lot. And when we don't get it, then we get frustrated, we get angry, and sometimes we need to hide it, or sometimes we pretend to hide it when in reality is brewing within inside of myself. What to do about it is one of the things that I tell my patients, the first thing to tell them is to start writing down their expectations, to be able to write down, this is what I want out of my relationship. This is what I want out of you. This is what I expect out of my relationship. And this is what I expect out of you. When both of you are able to be honest about your expectations, about your wants, about your desires, and share that information, the other person might start understanding where you're coming from. And he or she may choose or not to choose to do and help you to figure out how to be happy. The fact that I'm responsible for my own happiness is very important. When I enter the relationship thinking that he or she is going to make me happy, I'm already putting a great amount of pressure to the other person and expect them to make me happy. The only person who could make me happy is myself. I'm the only person responsible for my happiness, and I'm the only person that I need to hold accountable for my happiness. When the other person shares the happiness, it's icing on the cake. However, it's not his or her responsibility to make me happy. It is my responsibility to make me happy. It's my responsibility to implement behaviors that make me happy. It's my responsibility to be able to set healthy boundaries with others. It's my responsibility to communicate effectively. It's my responsibility to practice active listening, to really hear what the other person is telling me. It's my responsibility to be responsible for my actions and to accept the consequences of my actions. It's my responsibility to be able to say, I'm sorry, I did a mistake. It's my responsibility to be able to say, this doesn't belong to me. This belongs to you, and you need to be able to figure out what to do with it. Being a partner means that I'm your partner. I'm not your father. I'm not your child. I'm not your brother. I'm not your sibling. I'm not your co-worker. I'm your partner, and we are equal in this relationship. Be able to accept those terms. It will be the start of a healthy relationship with the person that you love and the person that you want to share time with, because you have a great time when you are together. If you have more questions about relationships, please text me, send me an email, and leave me a voicemail, and then I'll be able to respond to your questions in the time that I have available in my professional life. Okay? Until the next time, have a great day.